Hi there, thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation about vertical farming. My name is Susan Norton, and this presentation is for the School of Sustainability course 494. So as our global population heads towards 9 billion by 2050, we must look for innovative ways to feed the world. We need efficient use of land or space. We need local food choices. We definitely need to use sustainable methods for farming and growing food, career opportunities in the food production, and we need to look for innovative ideas to make this all happen. So traditional agriculture will no longer work sort of as business as usual due to so many things, but mostly increasing land scarcity, increased land prices, climate change issues which affect crop seasons, growth patterns, and harvestability, plus shipping. Large-scale crop production is resource intensive from the first planting of a seed through the harvest, the sale, storage, shipping, and the end result or the storage actually in a grocery store and then into the home environment as well. So again, as we're looking to new ways to feed the population, vertical farming is certainly a new innovative technique that we should consider. So prime agricultural land, as I mentioned, can be scarce and expensive. So with the worldwide population growth and the demand for more food and more land to grow, this seems like an obvious choice. So again, some entrepreneurs and farmers are beginning to look up and not out for space to grow more food. So key concept again, vertical farms. So vertical farms involves growing crops in controlled environments with lighting, nutrients, and controlled temperatures, and infrastructure or where infrastructure is provided. Plant trays are stacked in layers for greater production. The photo that I have here is actually a tower style, but again, it's very similar. Sometimes they're vertical, and sometimes trays are stacked horizontal. So again, this could be a solution to our need. A lot of these vertical farms are actually found in abandoned warehouses, or used in abandoned warehouses or buildings in cities that have been for lease for a long time. Sometimes they're also built on non-usable land, and even in used shipping containers that you would use to ship items across the ocean. So there is a company right now that does farming opportunities in shipping containers only. So again, this type of farming, again, is all in controlled environments with precise light, nutrients, and temperatures that are regulated. And again, lots of different methods with stacking, either vertical or horizontal. And there are actually 3 different types or farm types for vertical farms. So the vertical farm types of gardens would be hydroponics, aeroponics, and aquaponics. So again, lots of different styles from the simple 2-level or wall-mounted systems to large warehouses that can be several stories tall. All vertical farms use one of these 3 soil-free systems for providing nutrients to the plants. And again, they can be hydroponic, which are water-based farming methods or vertical farming methods, aeroponic, which is a really light mist of nutrients that's sprayed basically on the roots, and aquaponic. And aquaponic usually involves the growing of fish in the environment, so fish and plants in the similar environment. So again, hydroponics is the predominant growing system used in vertical farms, and this involves, again, growing plants in the nutrient solutions that are free of soil. The plant roots are submerged in the nutrient solution, which is frequently monitored and circulated to ensure that the correct chemical composition is maintained. And again, aeroponics, the National Aeronautical and Space Administration, or NASA, is responsible for developing this first ever indoor growing technique. In the 1990s, NASA was interested in finding efficient ways to grow plants in space and coined them aeroponics. So aeroponic systems are still in the vertical farming world, but they continue to attract even greater interest. An aeroponic system is by far the most efficient plant growing system for vertical farms, using up to 90% less water than even the most efficient hydroponic systems. Plants grown in these systems have also been known to uptake more minerals and vitamins, making the plants healthier and potentially more nutritious. Now, in an aquaponic system, this takes the hydroponic system a step further, combining plants and fish in the same ecosystem. Fish are grown in indoor ponds, producing the nutrient-rich waste that is then used as the feed source for the plants in the vertical farm. So in turn, the plants filter and purify the water shed, which is recycled to the fish ponds. So although aquaponics is used in smaller scale vertical farming systems, most commercial vertical farm systems focus on producing only the vegetable crops and don't usually include the aquaponics component. Again, this just kind of simplifies the whole system and maximizes efficiency of the farming system. So the benefits to vertical farms are as follows: continuous crop production. There you can get many more crops than you can in a traditional farming setting with vertical indoor systems. And again, this system also ensures protection from weather issues, also the elimination of pesticides and herbicides. Also greatly helps with water conservation and recycling of water. Definitely a climate-friendly space and a worker-friendly space. So in order to have kind of an idea of the continuous crop production, as I mentioned, a single indoor acre of vertical farm may produce a yield equivalent to more than 30 acres of farmland when the number of crops is produced per season is taken into account. So as you can see, that's really just an enormous difference there. Most hydroponic systems save up to 50 to 70% less water than normal ag methods. And again, very climate friendly. You're not using heavy equipment such as tractors and large harvesters and things like that. So really reduces the burning of fossil fuels. Usually they are controlled environments, so of course there is heating and cooling. But again, when you take everything into account, the emissions are considered to be greatly reduced because a lot of these crops are just shipped blocks from the production facility. They're not usually trucked hundreds or thousands of miles away or even across oceans, continent to continent. And again, people-friendly, conventional farming is really considered one of the most hazardous occupations in the U.S. when you take into account, again, the machinery, the equipment, the pesticides, the herbicides that are used. And again, you just don't have the same equipment or issues or exposure to chemicals in vertical farming atmosphere. So some of the challenges, though, with indoor farming or vertical farming would be land and building costs. Even though, again, abandoned warehouses are used frequently, or a lot of times buildings are kind of used, or this technique is used in areas where they're trying to revitalize a community or cities, it just doesn't always pencil out that way. It still can be expensive to maintain and upgrade buildings. So energy use, of course, controversy over USD organic certification. Because the plants are not truly grown in soil, they can't be certified organic. So this is up for discussion. Limited to a certain number of crop species. There's not a whole lot of room really to grow horizontal, vertical. So you really are limited to a lot of the greens and um, even less heavy crops. Like broccoli can be a heavy crop with a big broccoli crown, or cauliflower, and they take up a lot of space. So, and even tomatoes as well. So again, kind of limited to the crops that you can grow. But again, spinach, leafy greens, and strawberries, crops that are kind of smaller in size. And then also pollination needs as well. So, there's always challenges with your benefits, but some agricultural experts are skeptical that the cost and benefits, won't pencil out in the long run. Some think that expensive urban real estate in many cities may rule out vertical farms, but let's hope not. Let's hope not. I think that as people work together and as we continue to develop and work through the kinks and come up with new innovative ideas, I think that it certainly is opportunities that a lot of cities would like to see in their communities. And again, high electricity use can run high, especially for heating or cooling in certain areas as well. So that's just something that needs to be monitored and taken into account as well. So I'm going to touch on the USD organic just a little bit more. Again, just to kind of talk a little bit more about that. And again, saying it's sort of an ongoing debate about certification between vertical farming, the community, and organic regulators. And it's really more so just because, soil was sort of the basis of organic or not organic. But, things can be changed and policies can be updated. And so I think, like a lot of ag specialists feel that the certified crop involves the entire soil ecosystem and a natural system, not just the lack of pesticides and herbicides. So, but I think as long as, farmers and researchers and scientists continue to talk about this, and I think the general public can also come up with how they feel about it and what their idea, how important it is for them to have that organic label or not, or whether just understanding the method alone is enough for a consumer to be comfortable with it not having that true certification on it. So some national certification agencies, such as the California Certified Organic Farmers, have already certified organic hydroponic operations. So, we have an example right here. So if we have one state that's willing to do it, again, I'm sure it won't be long before other states are willing to come on board as well. And last, pollination needs. Crops requiring insect pollination are at a disadvantage in vertical farms, since insects usually are not included in this environment. And some plants, do need to, in this case, plants will be needed to be pollinated by hand, and that will require staff time, and extra labor for the products. So there are many different technologies for vertical food gardens today. Tower gardens are one option, like I showed you in the very first slide, but even the middle slide here is sort of an example of a lean-to tower garden. They can be round and tall and thin. So again, there's this lean-to kind of style. The big triangles out. This is an outside crop, but still, I just wanted to have a lot of different examples to show you what different technologies that are out there for vertical gardens. So lighting is also an ever-changing technology. LEED systems are great, and they can really vertical farms can kind of produce recipes for different crops with regards to lighting. So they can set precise combinations of light, temperature, and even humidity levels for optimal production for each type of plants. So, these lights make urban farmer jobs even easier just because of these light recipes. They can up the light, lower light for different growing seasons to get the exact crop they want, or maybe to increase yields as well with the intensity. So they're not really relying on natural light if it's cloudy for 3 days or or cold and rainy and cloudy, and plants don't grow um, as quickly with situations like this. So anyway, this really helps with uh, crop yields, increasing crop yields, and getting a consistent product out, fairly quickly. Substrates are another type of technology, which is the hydroponic medium that these plants grow in, and there are lots of different kinds, and an important decision for the farmer to make as to what they would like to use and what they'd like to try. They all affect germination, growth rates, operational costs, things of this sort. And even there are some substrates that can be recycled and some that cannot be. So considering this is important too for sustainability and uh, other reasons that you would consider would be, water retention, what the plant, that species of plant grows best in, things like this, particle size, and cost. So the case study that I'm going to focus on is a farm called Arrow Farms. And Arrow Farms is on a mission to transform agriculture by leveraging patented technology and farming locally. They own and operate indoor vertical farms that grow safe, nutritious food in a way that is respectful to the planet and the communities in which it grows. So the location of Arrow Farms is in Newark, New Jersey, in the Ironbound neighborhood, which, apparently was a bustling center of industry and home to factories years ago, and steel, so steel and other metals. So when the economy tanked, 2008, and even earlier than that, in the 90s, I believe, this neighborhood was, just sort of left on its own. Many people moved out of the neighborhood and just sort of left dilapidated buildings, and the economy just crashed. So, today they're trying to revitalize this area and trying to figure out what they can do with these huge factory sites. So this is sort of one idea, and this is why Arrow Farms is choosing this neighborhood to build their huge vertical farm within. They're also building, not the community in whole, modern homes and beautiful apartments are being built in this area also. So Arrow Farms was started in 2004 by Ed Harwood, a former professor at Cornell School of Agriculture, and he developed the company's low waste, high yield growing system. So again, it's an aeroponic system, both soilless and sunless, and uses spray nutrient mist to grow plants, utilizing gallons of water to grow plants. Seeds are grown, germinated on reusable sheets of fabric, which are stretched out over the horizontal trays and stacked vertically to fill the 69,000 square feet space in the warehouse. So a few things that Arrow Farms feel will help make them an efficient and productive company are they continue to choose. They have 5 sites, the one in New Jersey, but they have 4 other sites across the U.S. And they continue to choose sites that are near major distribution routes and near population centers. And they also do not have the traditional growing center seasons, and therefore enable local farming at commercial scale year-round. So they also set a new standard for traceability by managing greens from seed to package. So Arrow Farms states that they are 75 times more productive per square foot than field-grown crops, and they use 95% less water as compared to field-grown crops. So this is quite a statement. Again, I think I had mentioned earlier that it takes a much shorter time from seed to harvest with the aeroponics. And they, traditional head of lettuce or spinach would be from seed to harvest would take 30 to 45 days. So close to a month and a half. And with this system, they can grow it from seed to harvest in 12 to 16 days. So that means 22 to 30 crops turn out a year in the field instead of the traditional about 3 for a traditional agricultural setting. So also AeroFarms has kind of zeroed in on short-stemmed leafy greens, again, in order to maximize the amount of trays that can be stacked up inside the vertical farm, and therefore, having more fresh greens to go to production and thus go out to sale. So doing more growth and service from AeroFarms. So currently they are the largest leafy green vertical farm in the world, growing over 230 varieties of greens. They use no pesticides, use organic seeds only. They reuse the growth media, and the growth medium is recycled. And again, one thing they're trying to work on is trying to figure out how to reuse shoots and stems of the products after harvest. They use approximately 80% less fertilizer than traditional farming, and they use the LED lighting system. They're working on installing a cogen system to power its Newark farm and absorption chillers to eliminate the HVAC load from the farm. And again, exploring high-value applications for roots and stems, which I think that's really great because that really is kind of closing the loop there, really trying to consider that. I mean, we look at roots and stems and think it's not much of a leftover product, but it is waste. So I really do appreciate that they're sort of definitely trying to close the loop with this system by trying to find a way to utilize roots and stems. A couple of, high fives for AeroFarms, I guess you could say. They have been recognized as a Circular Economy or Circular Economy 100 company and was voted most innovative company at the Future of Agriculture conference. Also rated best growth company to invest in with the Wall Street Journal's CEO-nomics conference. So AeroFarms' goals are to increase healthy foods in communities, add jobs to the community, helping to address a global food issue, and to solve sustainability problems with food. So the CEO, Oshima, states, "What's exciting about what we're doing is that we're very much helping to address a global issue. We have increasing urbanization, population increases, food safety, and food security issues. We have a tremendous amount of interest in helping to solve these problems." So some of the bigger future goals for AeroFarms would be to be 100% powered by renewable energy, fully utilize roots and stems as mentioned, customer returned packaging. So they want to get to know their customer and come up with a system where they can return packaging and reuse it. Use recycled materials in manufacturing processes, and inspire people to eat leafy greens without high-calorie dressing. So I appreciate that as well. I think that's sort of a nice goal for a company such as this to state. A couple other goals that they aspire to achieve as well would be to treat its people better and better, and to use smart equipment and operating inputs to its farm, to inspire people to enjoy leafy greens, the most nutritionally dense food category, and to extend the useful life of its lighting systems and pumps. And last, to build upon the 233 different types of leafy greens that it grows today, making more varieties available and celebrating diversity. So as we wrap up, a couple of kind of closing statements. As the need for greater food production is upon us, vertical garden operations can be a viable solution. Produce stays local, provide new opportunities for a community. And again, some systems save up to 90% of water as compared to traditional farming methods. And we can get 5 times as much more food produced in a much shorter amount of time than traditional agriculture. So although there are still challenges and resources that are used with the production of food in these vertical farms, there is still good evidence that this could be one answer to feeding the 9 billion people estimated to be on the planet by 2050. So in closing, I wanted to bring up a couple of fun ideas or give you some opportunity to look up these ideas. These are 3 that I've come across that are just really kind of intriguing to me and show innovation and just some fun with it as well. So MIT City Farm, they have kind of an amazing cutting edge interior ag research department. And again, it's called the MIT Media Lab Open Ag Initiative. And they have a mission to bring out the farmer and everyone by creating healthier, more engaging, and a more inventive food system. So again, City Farm or MIT Open Ag Initiative, take a look and see all the kind of fun things that they're doing. They have a blog and kind of encourage people to chime in and ask questions and bring up ideas, things like that. The Grove or Grove Garden is the brainchild of a couple of MIT students. And if you look at the photo, it's actually, hydroponics and aquaponics systems. So it's a fish tank and a cool little growing station that's a piece of furniture for your apartment or your home. So the Grove, again, really interesting concept by MIT students. You can certainly buy them online. I think they're $3,000 to $4,000 each. But, a nice little startup company, and you've got to start somewhere. So kind of fun website to look at. And then I thought it was really great, too, that you found this article with Target and their vertical farms. So Target is actually working on in-store trials where people could potentially harvest their own produce from their vertical farms in the stores, or just watch as staff members pick greens and veggies to stock the shelves. So Target's pilot is actually supposed to be rolled out spring of 2017, and I believe this is happening in New York City. So again, just some kind of fun, new, inventive ideas to take a look at. So this is all I have. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you will consider supporting new forms of bringing local, organic food to your community, such as vertical farming.